stances first, just to get through it. Okay, ready? 5 stances. 5 stances. Everybody want to move here? No? No? Okay. Yeah. Lawrence, you move there. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. All right, ready? Eyes turn straight ahead. Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue. Keep going. Just follow the leaders. Follow the leader. They don't do the salute. They just go right there. Yeah. Ready? Step. Yeah, you can do it. It's an optional. Yeah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No big deal. No big deal. What? The other way? Oh. Yeah, no. No, we did it 2 ways. One time I suggested doing a salute because it's part of Gongji, but then open house we did it both ways. So it's not a big deal. It's just another movement. Okay, deep breathing. So just kind of recapping what I talked about in the last class, and you guys probably have heard it before. So what are the 5 coordinations? 5 coordinations. Peter, ever heard of the 5 coordinations? Right? Yeah. Oh, I was thinking 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So actually, it's called hand, eye, body, waist, and stance. Right? I call them the 5 coordinates. Hand, eye, body, waist, and stance. So what do they represent? Hand-eye coordination, right? The eyes follow the hands, and the hands kind of, and then eyes do a lot more than just see. It takes in information. And body's the body form, the posture, right? The posture is defined as those different positions we have in the form, and what defines the name actually is the end of the movement. The final position is the name of the posture. So, a posture could have a number of transitions built within a single posture. So then we have posture, waist, yo, right? So yo is a body part. We call it the waist, but it's really from like sternum down to here, and that includes your core, your abdominals, and then your lower lumbar in the back. But it's actually this whole strip, this whole girdle, right? And then you have stance, right? Ma. So stance is the different stances. So at different stages, they have different meanings in a way, as identification. Horse stance, leaning stance, suspended stance, cross stance, golden cockroach stance. That's a one-legged stance. Actually, a split is actually kind of a stance. It's called a yituma, like a 1. The Chinese 1 is like that. So the yituma is that. If you sit in a stance and you have your feet like this and you're in the middle, that's called a sanduma. The character for Chinese, for mountain, is like that. So when your 2 feet are like this and your body's in the middle, that's called a mountain stance or sanduma. So, that's just to describe what the stances are. But actually, when you break it down into those 5 coordinations, there are also methods. Methods are, that the strategy within, say in footwork, it's tied into the stance work. Footwork is stance work, transition, shifting a weight, and getting in and out of your stance, both directionally and the mapping of how you would maneuver. So as you evolve, all of those things become relevant because they have to work together. not only do you have to coordinate your body as a coordination, but you also have to integrate those 5 coordinations to become kind of whole in your movements. So the hands should follow the eyes and like gazing, but you heard the expression, eyes are the mirror of your mind. Looking at eyes can tell you a lot. So most time, if you're using it as a martial art, you gaze toward your opponent, but you always look in a direction, but you also look at the eyes, because you can tell. Because eyes not only kind of telegraph information, but on another level, it also ties to emotion. Through the eyes, you can see even how the eyes look. You can tell a person's health. Jaundice, the eyes turn yellow. There's different things that happen to show up there. You can even discover, optometrist can look at the eyes and tell you if the person has diabetes or anything else that's going on in there. So then the hands, in hands, it means your whole arm. Siu. Siu is your hand, which is your bridges and all your hand movements and techniques. So they're all built into, how we use our limbs, our upper body limb. Lower body, when we say stance, it's your legs. So that's your mabu, your stance, and the shapes, the leaning stance, and how you transition in and out of those. So the goal is to coordinate all of those components and synchronize them in a certain way. And all of that is tied to the kind of motor skill we're trying to develop and get it to work efficiently. So that's just those pieces. Then you have the transition and timing. That's the most critical part of it. So the first stage, you learn the sequence, muscle memory. Not really at that point. It's just pure memory. Memorize a sequence like you memorize a poem. So people are okay sometimes with memorizing. But after you get past the memory stage, how do you know if you know the form? It has to enter subconscious, right? So then you can test yourself in a way to see if you know the form subconsciously by kind of blowing through the form to see if you have to stop to think about it. If you have to think about it, you don't really know it, meaning the body doesn't know it. So this memory is not this memory totally. This has to learn it, right? So that it avoids this stage. That's what a reflex is. So if you want to use the movement as a reflex, you have to actually take it into the body. And then it becomes something that you can actually use. So it's kind of a fallacy to think that, well, I started Kung Fu or Karate or whatever it is, and I've done it for 3 months, so I must be able to use it and be pretty practical with it. But that's just kind of misleading most people, because when you get out there confronted, the first thing starts to happen is your legs start to shake because you're so nervous. So, that brings in a psychological factor. Only someone that can stand there and stare at the opponent has some skill and confidence, right? That's a level just being, confident to face an opponent. Like getting into a ring, sparring is different from, just doing your forms, because it becomes a psychological thing. There's a barrier, and what is that? That's fear, right? And when you're afraid, the tendency is not to relax, right? You get stressed because the fear of getting injured, the fear of, aside from failure, losing, your fear is that you're going to get destroyed. So, anyways, that's some of the psychological things. So we're gonna go through the first form. So form, after we do it the first time, we can talk about, how to practice a form. So let's go through it first form. The first I follow Lawrence and then go through the motions. So try to think, at least try to get those concepts into your body when you run through the form, right? Okay, go. Okay, so that's a good start. We use that as a warm-up. We'll use the second form as the test because the first form, it's bad on the knees and some people's knees are not so great, so I don't want you to kind of hurt yourself doing that. So let's do second form. Now bring in some, we're talking about the 5 coordinations, hands, eye, body, waist, and stance, and so forth. So see if we can get the body to do some of those ideas first, and then we'll see where it goes. Okay, go. All right, deep breathing. So the form is mapped out, and we memorize it based on, the same way we memorize anything. Just keep doing it over and repeat it. Okay, so once you've memorized the form, the struggle you have is the postures, identifying the posture in the sequence, and then finding the correct position for each posture. That's accuracy of position because you have to know where the alignment and of your body and the target that you're striking toward. And then the timing to get to that destination so that the whole body is working like a unit. That is a stage, it is a phase within your training. So first stage is memorize the sequence. Before you can actually evolve to the next stage, you have to be able to do the form by heart, meaning you've embodied it somewhat in the subconscious. You can get through without thinking or forgetting the form. So form can be practiced in different ways. One for breaking it down transitionally, that's done slowly, defining the geometry of position, getting your feet and all that stuff to work. And then the next stage is integration of movement so that your hands are coordinated and then your legs are coordinated, and you have to tie it through your torso and the whole body becomes. So those are all different stages. We all kind of evolve differently. So you can practice your form focusing on any one of those parts of your body, because we kind of train with our basic exercises, in units. It's compartmentized. Your arms are here always in this position, getting that position. Then we do some strikes in different directions. Then we do some leg work and we put it all together in the form, right? So then when you get to a stage where you want to build that integration, you have to use the form to practice that. And then the mapping takes you directionally into different places. So those are all stages of development, and everyone evolves differently. So that's where skill level really comes in. So a belt is actually just an indication of what you've learned here anyways, sequentially. And in fact, most systems only rank you on sequence because they don't really test you on execution because everyone looks different. But theoretically, if you don't have a belt system, it's really about the execution, right? So that's really the end goal, is how well you can do the movements with the principles and concepts that we're talking about. That's pretty hard. That's pretty subjective, and it's pretty hard to keep everybody sort of judged the same way because there's age differences, there's levels of learning, time and learning, all of those things are factors. So with the traditional arts, we're not so fixated on that side of the rank. We're really trying to struggle through it as an art form. So as an art form, there's some leeway, but you still have this end goal, right? And the end goal is perfection. So we can't really tell you what perfection is, right? Although we have an idea kind of what it would be. I think with music it's probably sound, but then after a certain stage, it's really the individual expression. Form is like that too. So let's do second form. But this time I want you to go as fast as you can. You don't have to stay together. And let's see if you get stuck and have to stop and back off and see. So this is just to see if it's in your subconscious. And it might not be perfect. If it's perfect, then your skill level will be really good. But if you're having some trouble with sequence, then, okay, ready, go. So just go as fast as you can. See if everything happens like the way it's supposed to without... Okay, so everybody essentially knows the form, pretty much knows the form because you've been doing this for a while, so you know the form. But are the transitions as accurate as you wanted? So to compromise, to kind of balance it out, where should the speed be? It's at the final destination for the PowerPoint, right? So you have to get there as fast as you can, but you don't want to compromise it by rushing through it and not involve the legs and the torso. So there is probably a minimal time, and then there's the maximum time. You can't go to that because you could do it really slow. So the thing is, you have to get it to work so you have the balance between your transitions, and what slows you down in the transition is going to be your body and your stances, because everybody can move their hands kind of fast. So what happens, you have to pick up the speed or get your body or recruit the right muscles and the right parts of your body and get them to move faster, just like your legs have to move faster with a certain amount of accuracy. So that means you have to go down to the leg work or then go to your torso work, meaning that your waist must have to turn faster. Your sliding step and your transition from horse to leaning has to be faster, but not lose your stance. So that's, that could happen with any form. So it doesn't matter if it's second form or Fu Hak, although that's a rank form, meaning that you have to be a brown belt to learn that form. Sequentially, it might be a little bit more of a learning curve because it is longer. Has some, and I think maybe what makes it so different as far as skill level sequentially is the mapping. So spatially is probably much more challenging than something like the first form. Although first form's tricky for the first time for people that you'll know because it's so up and down and redundant. So that is hard for some people. But when you get the Fu Hak, you have to do 8 directions. That's a little bit harder to do. And then you have all these body positions that's even more different than what you would have in some of these forms. So then, in a way, I guess maybe that's a little bit more difficult, so that must be a little bit more advanced, only sequentially. But the execution across the board should be, progressing. So when you get to learn a little bit more complex sequence and that execution improves, it's to translate back to the beginning and those should all improve. That's kind of, how we evolve. So, when you're doing a form, it's only a vehicle to practice, right? And when you practice it, you have to understand these 5 coordinations. That's constantly what you would bring in. So if you just take a group, 2 groups of movements, just say this, 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 and this. If you increase the intensity of that movement, then your body actually starts to change in what it's using. So the positions would be there. Now even here, like his hand is like this, no, the elbow should be in, but the hand should be like this. And then this should be like this. So, yeah. So when you so it doesn't have to be stiff here, it has to be here. So it doesn't have to tense while it's here, it's here. Because when this goes down, everything locks in as a body form. That's your final posture, right? When you sink, then the hands, the legs, all this has to go together. So that's where the speed of the movement comes from the action. So that, so you can do it slowly to learn, to learn, to learn, to learn, to learn, to see if everything is working right, and see if you have good body mechanics, good pivoting, good shifting of weight, transitioning. So step, pivot, and turn. All of these things become a transition. Now, if you take that same group of movements and just do it faster, you say, you had a question? Yeah. Now do it faster, the same movement. You'll do this, and then you go to dragon. Yeah. Okay. Now go to high, Song Gong Siu. Diagonal strike. Lift. Sink. Dragon. 4 movements, right? So you can do 1 posture, then you do 2 postures, then you do 3, and then you do 4. This is the simplest or the best sequence to practice as a hand-eye body waist movement. Because if you're turning here, right? If you're turning here, if you're turning here, if you're turning here, then you can get your feet to know what it should be doing. Now, when I say to get to where you have to go, everything has to move fast. If you just move your hands fast and the legs don't keep up with it, then your posture is not going to finish right. If your torso doesn't move with the legs, then it's not going to finish. So if you can't finish the movement, the hand gets to the destination, but the stance and body's not cooperating. So you can't drive the movement and have everything working together. That timing is what we struggle with, because the body's motor skill isn't synchronizing correctly until you practice it enough to understand it. But if you practice without an understanding, at least even in here, the body's not going to know, because the mind's the director. It has to tell your body what to do by feeding it the information. So that information varies even with the most intelligent person, because it's perceived. You don't really know what someone's telling you until you experience what it really means. So that phase, that's really something that people struggle with. And someone that has a bad attitude would say, well, I heard that so many times. I know it already. I don't need to do this. I know it. But the body doesn't know it. You know it here, but you don't really know it here. So that's what we struggle with all the time. And that's the understanding. So, even just here, we shift. That's a position. Can you get to the position, have that precise action? And I don't even know if it's precise. I'm just assuming it is, because it feels right. From my experience, I would say it's probably aligned pretty correctly based on what I think I wanted to do. So this elbow should be here and here. So then the line is going to be there. So the alignment becomes a visual thing. Your eyes. And then when you turn, you're here. This is going to come here, boom, boom. And then you're in that position. Now that position and this position are consistent because every one of those strikes are just one unit of something that you already learned. Just that your body's confused when you learn a new form, thinking that it's something completely different. Yeah. Yeah, so when you're in this position, this is too tight here. See, if you put this against your body, it doesn't feel right. You know why? Because when you're doing this, you know where your strength is. Yeah, strike like that, right? When that's a little better. But when it's in here, your strength is in here, pulling your arm in here. So how could your force come to here? It's been interrupted. Do you know if? Okay, stand up for a second. Yeah. If you put your hands on my shoulders, right, both hands, right, and you're pushing on my shoulders, I would go back. Do you know my hands are here and I just do this? Push, not push. If I go like this, I interrupted your strength, right? So if you push, if I go like this, I interrupted your strength. But if I go like this, it's here. If I go like this, it's interrupted because right here is where it's moving. So you interrupted the strength because it doesn't have the force to come to this end. So that's what happens when you do this. You interrupted your strength because you push your elbow in here. I would do that to you because if you were palm striking here, I would want to do this. So I interrupt the strength. You redirect it. It's like a vector like this and like this. If it's pushing like this, it's going to go over there, right? So if a force is going here, it's going to take it over there. It can't be here. So that's why your body has to know that. That's bringing in a piece of force or something that shouldn't be there. So when we learn how to move, we have to take out those erroneous motions or erroneous strength, the stuff that's not supposed to be there because the body doesn't know. So the only way to know is that there's an efficiency of the movement and also that it's directed. So that's what we have to define as the strength. So it should stay close, but it shouldn't be early because if it's too early, then you already wasted this and it's going over there, so I'm going to be over there. Right? Oh, your elbow was okay, yeah. I'm just, yeah. So that's just examples of what you have to know when you're doing your form. When you're here and you lift, this has to go up, this has to go forward, this has to turn, this has to straighten, and you finish it in the leg, and your momentum has to be here. So Song Kung Siu, we have that in all our forms. That's a major form. Do that again, right? So a high block, if you break it down, right? Turn back a little bit, halfway. Okay, here. So we're here. Put something into this. Just it has to be soft in contact. That's how you attach. When it lifts, it comes from the lift. The body's lifting. When you turn, it redirects, right? Now, if I go like this, 1, 2, 3, I added another dimension. The force doesn't just come to here and lift. It moved it over to there. And then as I continue forward, it even takes it over there. That's multi-dimensional change as a connected motion. Because it is connected, and what's happening is when the force comes, it's here. So if the force is coming here, then you're coming into the strike. So your body is coming to the strike. Boom. Now, point of impact is here. It aligns through here. Because this is your support. So it's not here. It's not over there. And it's not like this. Because this is, you lost your framework. This is your hoop, right? The structure. So your hoop is there. That's your hoop is your in Tai Chi is pang, right? The pang energy. So it's a circle, yeah. So this is also, right? Yeah. No, it is that, but this, right? This, turn here. So this is the waist. When you turn, yeah, from the waist. The waist splits it. Yeah. So when you hit nuts, don't reach out so far because this is coming too far. So now you have this, 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 and the knee, one line. Turn your back a little this way. Now you have this, and this. 1, 2, 3. Missed the line. Yeah. So So that's finishing your movement so that you have structural integrity. So these are the things that we have to understand as practitioners, and skill level comes to this level of understanding. It's the same name for the posture, Song Gong Siu, double bow. Song Gong Siu is double bow. There's a bow here, there's a bow here. That's a Song Gong Siu. Should you do that? No, probably not. Don't reach, because here, it's. So this is out, and should you strike like that? Well, the strike was here. It just finished there. Yeah, see. Yeah. You think about the sun punch, right? Sun punch, right? Wing Chun uses it. We use it. Everybody uses a sun punch. So what's the advantage of a sun punch? Because of this, it's harder to see because it's narrow.
It's harder to see than.
Yeah. So how about when you're drilling here? No. The difference between this and this is what? What would be the difference? What's the major difference, would you think? Because of the shape of the hand, and it's going to hit here, here, or here. What's that? It's not spiraling. Yeah. Yeah.
Why is it faster? It's harder to so they've done YouTube videos where they'll have a martial artist and the person will throw twisting punches and they'll throw vertical punches, and vertical punches are not intercepted as much.
Well, there's two reasons for that explanation too, because when you go like this, it travels a longer distance. So between point A and point B, this is shorter. But mainly the difference is it's actually not that, it's the elbow position. When you punch here, that's a natural direction of your movement. So in the Wu style Tai Chi, we punch like this, because if you turn it like this, your elbow actually goes out. So this one requires more of a torso rotation, whereas this one can be so there's a less of a
There's less telegraphing.
yeah, and the body doesn't rotate, right? But
exactly, you said this. You help me explain it. With this, there's a lot more body motion.
yeah,
And people can see it.
yeah.
This is harder to see.
So when would you use the movement that they can't see? You would use it after here, like. So you would use it here, right? Because now you're watching this, but here's where you would come around. Now, is a hook not effective to someone that's just doing straight lines? Because shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So the hook must be not effective. But not necessarily. It's situational. Because if the center is blocked and you avoid, then the hook becomes effective. Because the theory is jet loi, that means straight inward. Wong fail means to come to the side. If it comes from around, the shortest is 2 points, then you have to use the straight to overcome the round. Because when you hook, that's there. Right? If you come in straight, then that's here. See, so all you just have to avoid a little bit and then come in, or do it the other way, come straight in because it's coming around. So that's that's the most simple explanation for when to use a hook and when to use a straight technique. So when we throw a chun kill, it's better to keep your elbow down as long as you can. You pass through the sun position and then to the flat position, and then you add the spiral. So you don't need to do that. You want to be like that. So the punch actually comes from here. So in chun kill. So you don't telegraph as much. So that's, the telegraphing really is how a beginner. So that's why you don't want to turn your fist over early, because it takes your elbow out. You turn your fist over at the end. That's how a flat punch should be. It's called a ping chui. Ping is level, like a plane. So ping is flat. So it's called a flat punch. Yeah. So there's, little mechanic principles built into why we would punch from here. So your hand stays close to your body as long as it can, and it turns over. And you don't have to fully extend, really, because the momentum of the transition will let the force go to the fist, and then you just have to focus at point of impact. That's when you kind of focus it. So those ideas, just things that you got to keep in the forefront of your mind, and that's how you work toward it. So, yeah. That's a sun punch, right? But a sun punch to the side. So the same thing, instead of going like this, and you're still keeping it sort of tangent to the circle, you always want to keep your elbow down as long as you can. But in a high block or a turning movement, this is coming through the center, and it ends up in this corner, it ends up in this corner, and it ends up in this corner. Diagonal. Those are diagonals moving from position to position. So that's your slanting motion. Yeah. Okay, so let's try Bangbu Kuen. So third form. So we can do that the same way. Do it for structure, integrity, timing, and then do it, see if you can get through it without thinking. So, already, okay, go. Okay, deep breathing. So how about when we're here? The next two movements. Okay, one. Okay, let's do that again. So let's everybody do it. Right. So hold the position for a second, right? So this position, okay, so that's too close to your body. This should be here. Yeah, it's not really it's a turn. Yeah. Yeah. It's well, what you're doing is you're here.
Yeah.
You see?
Instead of striking something.
Yeah. It can be a strike, but this, so do you need your structure for that? Okay. The same, just like in a butterfly palm, right? Yeah. So it follows 1, 2.
Okay, you're not using a grip. Your palms are, your fingers are more relaxed. So you're actually not doing the grab.
Yeah, if you do the grab, then you're tensing your arm. Yeah. Actually, well, keep your thumbs out like this.
Thumbs up.
Like this.
Because that's a tiger's mouth and catches it. Yep.
No, this, not even in there. See, here, and then here. See, when you attach and grab, they happen. The first attachment, if you're like this, you're trying to grab the arm. It's you have to absorb it. So the first line is here. Then the hand is like this, and then so you're here, right? Then the next movement, go to the next movement. Your next one, go. It's the same like okay. So let's do that again, right? Do that again. Go. 1, 2. Okay, let's do it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So what's essential here is you're here, right? 1, 2. This has to, right? Right. 3. Right. So you have to come through here. 1, 2, 3. Hook. 4. So remember I sometimes mention movement should be compatible with direction. I'm moving from here, I'm moving to here to capture, and then here, and to here, and then I capture to here. So this is the part that's important, right? That's what's missing, right? Yeah, because what's happening when you step in, you hook. When you go moving to here, you hook. So at the same time, when you're here, 1, 2, right, 3, 4. So because you're doing a step, you have to have a hand movement. You're doing a step, you have to. So the leg movement and the hand movement have to become part of that relationship. And then this, So, So, and then this is hooked, like a hook. And that. But the important part is this. 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. So every transition has to have what I call, without void. Because you can't go from here and just go to there. You have to have, just like you're here, you have to turn, step, and then turn. So there's always something that happens below when something happens above, something happens above when something happens below. That's what upper-lower integration, the relationship has to be built into that. So when we're here, right? And then we're here. Yeah. Basically here. Right? You see? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are interim phases within a motion that you might not pick up on because you don't see it. So if you're not doing it, you won't see it. But once you see it, you say, okay, then that's the way I'm going to do it. It's just like, when we're here, then we shoot from here, right? And you step through, but that's where you're shooting from. So you have that in 5 stances, actually. Chun Kyo, punch, one. That's a yeah, with the hook, yeah. It has this and this, yeah. Yeah, it has it's yeah. So here you turn to here. Then when you shift to step to here, you have to turn, and then this becomes the downward, and then the upward. Downward and then the upward. I mean that's an exaggeration. Yeah, 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 yeah. Because if you don't move the torso, you can't tie it to the leg. Because if you notice, there's a shift of weight, a shift of body. So part of the momentum is capturing the covering motion. It's a cover motion that takes you into your forward substantial leg, which is going to take you to there, and then the covering takes it to here. Then you can see that the hand is moving to the next phase. It's not over here, it's here, because when I sweep, and even the sweep becomes a vertical turn, and then you're like that. So when I'm here, when I sink, my hand sink down, and then I lift. So it's driven by your body. It's driven by your the body image. So yeah, so you see the difference in the motion because now you use your torso. So because so the torso is very important to create the direction of force, and this isn't just lifting. It's a motion, but you don't really need, because I'm transitioning the leg, so you don't need a whole lot of strength here. If you have a lot of strength there, what happens when you put a lot of strength in here? Your arms get tight. When they get tight, what does it? It restricts movement. So what you heard me say many times, the conflict in movement is tension. So if you put tension in before you can move, then you already took away from your execution. The speed, is so. So when we're here, 1, 2, you see, and the hand is in here. It's not here. A lot of times I see you stopping here. It should be here. Yeah, stay there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, then step. Yeah. Yeah. See, they call it body imagery. A body imagery integrated. Poi hop. Sin Yang Poi hop. 1, 2. See, the body has to move. Body has to move in sync. Your body, you have to wire your body to do that from time and practice and experience. And we're dealing with, motor neurons in your brain, and it has to be tied together. So the complexity of movement really increases over time. If there's like an end goal. If you don't have a goal, everything stays the same. You can't evolve. This kind of evolving takes a lot more understanding. But it's tough to be too critical sometimes because you have to give each person their time and space to evolve. Because if you just be hard-nosed about it like the old traditional teachers. One, they have no students. They all quit. They're going to say, this guy hates me. He's telling me I'm terrible after 30 years. What? No. But they don't mean it. It's just that they just mean. Well, the reason why is because old school teachers learned it the old-fashioned way. So they don't want to just tell you the shortcut, the easy way, show you the easy path. Easy street is not the way they teach. Because they want you, actually, there's some truth to what they tell you. Because when you discover it on your own, you own it. When they tell it to you and you didn't embody it, then you'll lose. It doesn't matter. It won't happen. So, but if you embody it, then you actually will become, sort of morph into this other being that they say. But that's, teachers go through that all the time. You have to, go through the struggle and see who wants to stick around and stick it out. Maybe in the traditional way of thinking, they filtered all the people that didn't make it through and they captured a couple of pieces at the end, and then there's a bucket, and there's nobody to pass on their knowledge. That's I saw it, with my teacher, and he saw it probably with his teacher. I see it. I don't know. The students that I've taught see it yet, but that's what happens. People kind of, you probably have seen it, right, Peter? You've taught so many years that a lot of people kind of just say, nah, too much. I can't do it anymore because it's too demanding. When life is so stressful and so forth, they said, well, I don't need to be spending time on that, being criticized like that. Because, you studied before with, all old teachers are like that. They're very critical at certain points if you want to be criticized. But who likes to be criticized too much, right? Takes pretty thick skin and a lot of humility. Nothing like a teacher after you come back after he told you to do this, and he says, and you worked your tail off, and he said, you haven't been practicing. But actually, he's right and wrong. It's just that the practitioner was practicing it wrong. It wasn't what he wanted to see or she wanted to see. It really depends. So it's kind of, there's that fine line. So, anyways. Okay, let's anything else in that form that could be, it's probably a lot, right? Yeah, Bambukun's one form that we don't really get too much detailed in, but, one thing about the hook, right? When you throw a hook, like in some other forms, when you hook, or even in Fuhak or Gungjikun, when you hook, don't go beyond your temple when you hook. Hook, because if you do this, you have your circle. 2 fists, right? 2 punches to the air, right? It should be a gap between about as wide as your head. That gives you the framework of the size of that circle as a reference point. So if you have 2 of them like that, you have one, it only goes to there. What makes it past the center is you turn your waist. Because you've got to maintain your structure, then turn your shoulders to give you that structural integrity of the position. So so now you're...
I can bring my nose over my knee.
Yeah, so this...
Past the center over here.
Yeah, but here's your PowerPoint. But it's because of your body.
Yeah,
you turned. Without turning, and you want to go there, you leave your body there, and you go like this. Then as you get to here, you feel it losing it here. Yeah. So that's what structure is. So when you throw a hook, so when you do in Bangbukun, when we're here, right? When we come down here and we're here, just before that, when we're here, and we do the hook, it goes to your center. It can go to your center because now you have this. This balances that force.
Okay. So, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
This is the lesson. This is regular hook. Bambukun is actually to the center.
And because we're here and we turn, because we turn, this is what captures that line. But you can turn a little bit more here, just here, only here, but don't have to move your feet, right? So you still have the force. You see, yeah. So that's an alignment that probably is not you wouldn't be really aware of that. So, yeah, see. So when you're doing something like this, or you're doing something like this, it's really building tactile information into your motion, because this is, no one would punch and hit themselves, right? But you're practicing the timing to block and strike, to hook and catch. So these are just ways of practicing to get that information and a feeling. So it ties into your touch and feel and the sensory system, the tactile information. So, all this stuff is really building that kind of sensation information. So anything else, right? This is actually splitting type of a thing, where you're here, and then this is here. So it's like this, right? So your hand's like this. You notice when we do the form, we're here. So this is a kind of a capture. But you don't have to pull because you don't have any leverage. It's just, this movement is like the old master with the beard, and they're strumming their beard, right? So it's like strumming, right? So the movement is creating an action like this. So you're really catching and then using the feeling of like that. Yeah. See? So if your punch came here, I would deflect it. Right? So I'm here, right? See, so I'll do is touch and go, right? See, touch. So this is what, so this just keeps you from retracting a little bit to do that. See? But I'm here, right? So I'm here. I just kicked. And you came in. See? So this is a slap, just like this is a slap. So you don't have to press, you just have to redirect. Now here's the other way of doing it, right? You see, so I'm using this. So I use this as a deflection, and this.
That requires sensitivity.
Yeah, it's folding and rounding. So your body comes like this. So you can see the action here now by looking. Yeah. So there's a lot of little subtleties in motion that's not picked up on when you just do the form, because the form has this look, but it doesn't have the same interpretation if you don't feel it on that side.
It's only up here?
Mm. Yeah, because if it's not there, right, my hands are here, right? Where you had it was here. Yeah. Then I'm stuck. You got both my arms. What am I going to do? I want my hands here. Right?
All up here, huh? Okay.
Oh.
We've been around for a long time.
Right. Right. So that at least it's there. What's it going to do there? Right. No, that's this. No, it was never there, really, unless it was misinterpreted. Or maybe, yeah. You have it here because it's level. This is here. because this is you're capturing here. This is capturing here. Yeah, so that's under the armpit, or under this way. Yeah, like this. Yeah, yeah, and relax that a little bit. Yeah, so that's, because, when you saw this, maybe in this powder form, and this might have been thought of as the same, but actually this one's, because you kick, then the hand's here. Coming to here, you would have no, yeah, because you're here. And from here, you shoot to here. Yeah. So they're slightly different. Yeah, but you're talking a long, long time ago, so that could have been, it could be a couple of, things that get confused. Yeah. So yeah, so those. Still this though. You have to sink. You have to sink your elbow. This one, Kim, you're still doing kind of this like this, but it should sink in the opening. When you're here, you have to sink. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So it's this. Yeah, see how you're going? Sink. Yeah, don't. Yeah. This becomes kind of isolated. I can't, yeah, that becomes kind of isolated. Yeah, just sink. Yeah. It's a different intent of movement. If I have your hand, if it like this, see, then I sink. If I go like this, see, the body, I bend, or I sink. See. So sinking is really the bridge. Sink your bridge. Sink your elbow, relax your shoulder. Never heard that before, right, Eric? No, yeah. Okay, so let's bend and bow. Ready? Up. 2, 3, and salute. Okay. That's it.